So, hello, Unlimited Wisdom family. I love and appreciate you. So, welcome, Melody, Shelley, Eric, Scott, Deborah, and Sandy. Of course, my lovely wife, Terry, and the hostess with the mostest, CJ Craig Jackman. As promised today, the subject is going to be imagination. And it's pretty amazing when I went to Bogota that I had a lot of people that I had met in the past, and they were involved with me in Gano Excel, or they just knew of me, and so all of them were like, "Hey, do you just still have a YouTube channel? Do you still have this?" And da 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 da. And I thought it was very, very interesting. Hi, Mary. Thanks for jumping on. And one of the number one questions that I got asked, look at Deborah's face. It's like, got to change the color of the green screen, right? It's a white screen or something. Hi, Scott. Is one of the things that's really, really amazing is all of them ask me, do I still teach the same stuff? Right? And that was really, really interesting because for those of you that have followed me for a number of years, there has been a change in what I tell people to do. And one of it is on I on the gifts but we also have this in the back of Unlimited Wisdom on gifts as well. But it's always on Robert Hollis gifts .com/gifts. And that's the Strangest Secret by Earl Nightingale. And the reason that I brought that up, and it's funny because I brought it up to my family here, because that really tells you who you are. So I used to tell people all the time, go get the book, right? The greatest, you're the greatest miracle in the world, and then follow it. But now I've been telling people, hey, listen, get that 30-day that audio, The Greatest Secret in the World by Earl Nightingale, and see if you can't listen to it for 30 days exactly at the same time. Because here's something that you're going to find out about yourself. You're going to find out that if you do not have the discipline to make a decision and follow through listening to something at the same time for 30 days, you're just not going to do anything. Because if you're making a decision to build a larger group, if you're building a decision to, change the amount of income that you're doing, there's nothing in the world that beats imagination followed by consistent behavior. Nothing.
There it is.
That's all it is. So hi, Sarah. Great to have you on here. So, so one of the things that I realized that, that I do is we already know, for those of you that have listened to The Strangest Secret, it really all comes down to one thing. And he sort of beats it in your head. And then at the end, he says the same thing. And I think that a lot of you, if you have this thought, you'll understand everything in your life. Why things are happening the way they're happening. Is he says the thing that you think about the most is what comes true. So if someone was able to monitor your thoughts all day, do you think they would be impressed? If they monitored your thoughts all day, because I would say that the majority of people, their thoughts are, what's going to happen with this war? What about this? What about, this? What about, cost us things? What about that? Most of the things that I know that people think about all day, every day, is they're doing nothing but just doing the drifting that we talked about. And the drifting is really reactive. So what we do is we're just like a ping pong, and we're just going from reaction to 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 reaction. Hi, Mike. I don't know if I said hello. Hi, Coach Bob. So when you really, really think about it, this really is what happens with doom scrolling. Because all you're doing is you're scrolling and you're reacting, reacting, reacting. And some of you go, no, I'm not. I'm not liking. I'm not making a comment. I'm not making anything. No, what you're doing is you're drifting and you're using mental energy to just consistently react, 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 react. And the only difference between the majority of the people in the world and the top one percenters
They're too busy to drift.
is the one percenters are doing stuff that makes other people react. Do you guys catch this? They're not reacting. They're creating. They just go from one creation to another. And what I thought was really crazy is I sent Craig today and my son Matthew, but the big Falcon rocket took off today for Tesla, right? Tesla, SpaceX. And when it was funny because I just got to watch Artemis 2, and then I watched the Falcon, and how predictable everything was, how well they even say what's going on. And it's just like, the highest quality cameras that you can have. And then once it got up in the air, how the big boosters on both sides fell off and then came back and almost landed at the same time on Earth. And I'm just going like, SpaceX makes NASA look like it's not doing anything. It's just like crazy. And they're like, just telling you while this is going off, this is when the boosters go off. This is when the second capsule falls off. Then it's going to do this, and then it's going to do this. And you see this like a speedometer at the bottom, and they go, this will happen in 20 seconds. Okay, boom. You know what I mean? It's just like crazy. And where does that all come from? That comes from imagination. Creativity comes from you imagining things that are not there. And then faith in the pursuit of an imagination is basically faith is doing it regardless if you know what's going to happen or not. You just keep pushing forward and creating content. And what got me on this idea to talk about this is when Lisa Marie yesterday, we had Coach Bob, doing a bunch of stuff so you guys can watch this. And by the way, I don't know if you know this, Coach Bob, but I put a video up on Immunitech and in Unlimited Wisdom. And do you know that you've already won a trip for you and your wife?
Woo!
I mean, well, when's the last time that you had a company pay for a trip for you when you're just out there doing what you're supposed to be doing?
Yeah, never. I've never. It's phenomenal, Robert. I can't believe it.
Yeah. And so I'm so proud of you. I'm just
Thank you.
proud of you, So I'm looking at the list and looking at this video and see that you're on there. You know what I mean? And that's out of all the people in the company. It's just nuts. And so congratulations. I think you're 11th. Were you 11th or 13th or something?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, congratulations.
We got to get everyone else up there. I want to see all of everybody.
Yeah.
Come on, let's go, team.
Come on.
And and correct me if you want to, Bob, but really what it really came down is you finally making a decision that you needed to make extra money so you didn't get into your savings. So you just decided
To do it.
to be consistent doing stuff that you didn't want to do.
Yeah, and the other thing is, Robert, you talked to me and you said, don't do it for yourself, do it for your family. You know what I mean? Have something special, set a goal that you and your family can do. And then that just helped me out, like focus. It wasn't all about me, It was about helping my family out and enjoying them, so
I told them to put up like a thermostat, and then how you feel it, fundraiser. And I told him to talk to his whole entire family and all make a decision where they were going to go. And does Bev know she's going on a vacation?
Well, yeah. I told her to get a swimsuit,
There you
but she
go.
won't do that. But
I'm with Beth.
Hey, Terry might go on a vacation, but she's not taking a, yeah, she's,
I was just kidding her.
yeah,
She's,
that's funny. But again, really proud of you.
yeah,
So,
thanks.
So for those of you that are trying to get back into, and that was a perfect time for that to happen. Because again, if you won't do it for yourself, you got to do it for something else. You got to do it for orphans. You got to do it for other people in your family. But you also have to get your imagination. You got to really have a clear imagination of what you want to create for you or the people that you love or children and widows, whatever. And you got to really be emotional about that imagination. And so I brought this up a little bit. I'm going to show you guys a video because I'll let it speak for itself, and then I'll say some stuff about the video. So let me go here. Can you see it okay?
Yes, we do.
Okay, so this is the first time that Carson Hocevar is his name, won his very first race in NASCAR.
So I was sitting on the door and I had my left foot. So what I had to do is I couldn't twist my foot around with the steering wheel on. So I had the wheel off, I dropped the clutch, and I was hustling to get the wheel on. I got the wheel on, turned around, and so it just kind of just idled for me. And then as I felt more comfortable riding on the door, I was just kind of moving the steering wheel a little bit. It stayed straight, and then I started giving it gas. And then I've dreamt about that in the off season. I just wanted to have something that, just was meaningful for me, and I feel like I mean, obviously being a Junior fan, I remember that iconic clip from, I think it was 2014 when he won the 500. I was there, but I remember he was inside the car, went helmet off and enjoying the fans going backwards. And but the fans, they don't really get to know if they hear them or see them and everything. And so I had thought of just like, man, I have really long legs. I wonder if I can hit the throttle and sit on the door and ride. And just kind of see everybody. Like, I just wanted them to get as loud as possible, and I felt like they would if they could see me seeing them. And yeah, I mean, ultimately, I just wanted to make sure I soak it in. I soaked every bit of it in. And I think I could tell you what everybody was wearing, where every seat was, where every 77 shirt was. I think I could have pointed it all out to you because I remember it so clearly right now. That means more than anything else to me. It's just that none of this has been a blur. That I could tell you exactly from just off turn 4 that I thought it was just like I have it to right now. I could tell you every second. I was really worried about how I was going to hit the wall and do the burnout against it, but it wasn't that hard of a hit and just burned it down because I wanted to just at least burn it down next to the deal, but that was the biggest thing. I haven't had a phone. I haven't seen anything. Hopefully it was cool.
Him hitting the wall, man. Okay, so if no one has ever done that before, that's again from the book Wallace Wattles, The Science of Being Great. And so, to think that this kid was asked and a couple, so he started NASCAR 2 years ago. And the first year he won Rookie of the Year. And then, one of the things is he said he thought about his celebration when he was going to win a NASCAR race. And that's a bold imagination because there's some people that race in NASCAR and never, ever, ever win a race. You know what I mean? They all want to win a race, but that's sort of like the Vikings, the Vikings, Minnesota Vikings want to win the Super Bowl every year. Or the Buffalo Bills, I don't know if you guys know this, but you know what Bills stands for? Boy, I love losing Super Bowls. You know what I mean? It's like, so to think that I heard that when I was a football fan, like 30 years ago, 40 years ago. But hi, Dustin. Hi, Michael and Angela. Glad to have you on here. Hi, my son. But the reason that I wanted to show you that is you have to imagine yourself winning a race. And when you win a race, what is going to be your way of winning? What is your celebration going to be like? And I really put this together to the first time that I seen someone on stage and they asked them to do a testimonial, right? They said, anybody want to do a testimonial about the product or whatever? Hi, Jim. Thanks for jumping on. And I thought to myself, now I know exactly what I would say in a testimonial. And of course, it wasn't about the product. We're selling water filters, you know what I mean? But my goal was to get to this $25,000 level. You know what I mean? They called it a sales coordinator. You know what I mean? And I already had my pitch, my testimonial in my mind, and I practiced it all the time. The next time I knew I would be on stage is, to do a part of the presentation. I used to wear out tapes, going over and over and over because my mentor would break the presentation into parts. And so I studied and just memorized that part. Then, like I said yesterday, then it was like, wow, what if I could get on stage because they allow the top 10 people to speak? So what if I could find a way in my imagination to be in the top 10 so that they would ask me to say something for a minute? And then my imagination would, what it would be like to be top 5? What would it be like to be number 1? And then the grandiose one I had is, what would it be like to be number 1 and then have everyone on stage that were second to 10, that they were also in my group. And I fulfilled every one of those dreams. But it started with the imagination of when not what if, when I get on stage, this is what I'm going to say. And so, I know there's a lot of different sports out there, but you always have the person that says, hey, when I get a touchdown, this is what I'm going to do. You know what? The end zone dance, as they call it, right? And so that's the key things that I wanted to share with you guys. If you ask me personally, how many times I watched the Greatest Secret in the World, by
Earl Nightingale.
Yeah, The Greatest Secret in the World by Earl Nightingale. I have done that at least 20 times. And what I mean 20 times is 20 times of doing it 30 days in a row. Because until you realize and you are aware and woke up that what you think about the most every single day is what you actually create in your life, it doesn't make a difference what you do. Because you could have imagination, But if you spend a majority of your time feeling like a victim, if you spend a majority of your time making up excuses, if you make a majority of your time, oh, woes is me. You know what I mean? So you spend most of your time, being in trauma of the stuff that happened in your past. So, you don't write songs, glory days. You know what I mean? How many of you people know people, you start talking to them and they start talking about the past? And it's like, well, you already lived the past. But I have actually had numerous of people tell me, including even now. So when I built that large organization from 2009 to 2012, there are still people that I talk to that go, oh my God, if Joven didn't ruin that, if Joven and Chris Tidwell didn't ruin that, where would we have been? You know what I mean? And it really blew my mind that to know that I was standing on stage in Bogota, Colombia, and to think that that company, with 1,500 people there, was doing $200 million a year. And I stood on the stage in the same hotel in 2012 and had 8,000 people there. Instead of doing 200 million, we were doing 2 billion. It's crazy, so it really brought back a lot of great things for me that because the thing that got me the most is just how many people. I've shared this story, I think, with you guys before, but I'll share it with you because I shared it on stage. And you could see how much it really affected every one of the leaders that were in the room. Because when I went on that 10-day tour, 10 days in a row, and 10 different countries, and in Colombia and Peru, we did 2 presentations in one day. Did an afternoon presentation and a night presentation in 2 different cities. And in those 10 days, I spoke in front of live over 1 million people. And when I look back at that, again, just by asking people, hey, can I buy you a cup of coffee? We kept it really, really simplistic, what people could do. And, one of the flights was really super delayed, and it was in Colombia. And we got in like, we were supposed to be there like midnight or something like that. And this is, and what happened was I got in there like 3 o'clock. And so when we got in and we came out of the airport, there were thousands of people in the parking lot cheering for me. And the reason why is because those people on average make about $500 to $550 a month. And each one of these people that were out there were able to quit their job. And they were making like 1,000. They were making like 1,500, 2,000 a month. So when you allow a person to quit their job, but what they do is that's the first time that I understood what an entourage was. So when people like that make money, what they do is they start finding out what their family members make. And they say, so how much do you make? And I make $500 a month. Well, I'll pay you $550 and you can just hang out with me. And so, first person in their family to buy a car. And then they hire a family member to drive them around. And so that's what affected me is that, they would hang around and wait an extra 3 hours. So when I got off, they were all just screaming my name. And it just brought me to tears. Because when you can make that kind of impact emotionally on people, that's what made it grow. And so you guys know me really well. And so, so I not only told that story, but in the 1,500 people room, I told people at the very end, hey, how many people want to know my story? And I had them, my secret, and I had them so excited. And I said, listen, if you really want to know my secret, stand up. And everyone stood up. And then I fell to my knees and just put my hands in the air. And I go, you got to stop asking other people, other teachers, other coaches, other books. You got to stop asking people what you need to be doing. You need to be asking God, and you need to be asking yourself. And so the one thing that I heard over and over again from Mauricio and Luis Landeros and Mike and a lot of the staff members of Immunotech, they were going, this is what we need to go to 1 billion. Is not the technical, going through the comp plan and the technical about the ingredients and the technical. It's got to be said, instead of logic, it's got to be heart space. You got to talk to people from the heart. And so that's my message for today. Is your imagination has to be something that really, really, really not only emotionally touches you, but also touches other people. And I will leave you guys with one other thing, because it reminded me, because I was in front of leaders in another group, it brought out what was the magic of what we did in those days, right? And I said, how would you guys handle this question? There are so many companies out there that are marketing coffee. What makes this one different? And I said to him, here's what I say. What's the difference between this coffee and the other coffees? Is I'm the one that's marketing it. This is a movement for me to alter and change millions of people's lives. And I know what I'm going to do. And that's why you need to be with me instead of other people. And you could see all of them go, yeah, I wouldn't have said that. I would have said price. I would have said comp plan. I would have said how strong the company is. See, all this stuff that doesn't touch people. Right? So how many of you guys have found when you reach out to people and say, hey, have you ever heard of glutathione? And they say, yeah, I'm taking it. And it's like in your mind, you're going, no, you're not. But that doesn't change their mind, does it? All right. So if using logic is not building a large group, figure out how to use your imagination and your heart. Tell people the reason you're doing it. It has to be heartfelt. I imagine every day that I'm going to make enough money to do this for my sister, or I'm going to do this for my children, or I'm going to do this for orphans, or I'm going to do this for my family. It's got to be something heartfelt. Because if you do that, then how can people say, you're an idiot? Right? And so I love and appreciate. You got anything to say, love? So I love each and every one of you. Thank you very much. And I hope you enjoyed the message.
Day.
Have a great day. Thank you, Shelly, Dustin, Lisa Marie, Cook, VIP, number 9. Hi, Mary. Hi, Melody. Hi, Scott, Matthew, sort of Hannah and Ezra in the background. Hi, Jim, Eric, Michael. Thanks for jumping on. Really, really appreciate you. Coach Bob, Sarah, Deborah, and Sandy, and CJ, the hostess with the mostest. Take care. God bless. We'll see you guys soon.